After a 6 weeks break, the drivers and crews of the Rolex Sports Car Series are ready to rock once again on a tricky island circuit in America's Motor City. 4 races into the season, the Rolex Sports Car Series opens a whole new chapter. For teams struggling to find consistency, the pressure is still there. And for those fighting to stay at the top, every lap remains a battle. In Daytona Prototype, Ganassi Racing stretched their slim championship margin with a dominant win at Road Atlanta, while Gainesco remains close thanks to 3 straight podium finishes. In Grand Touring, 6 teams are covered by just 11 points, with the advantage to the Stevenson Camaro coming off back-to-back victories. Round 5 will unfold on a track built on city streets, bounded by unforgiving concrete walls, demanding precision and aggression from the drivers. And that track is in the city that first put America on wheels. Welcome to Rolex Series Round 5 from Detroit, now on Speed. Laid out on one of America's largest island parks in the Detroit River between the U.S. and Canada, the Raceway at Belle Isle is the site of Round 5 of the Grand Am Rolex Sports Car Series for 2013. Welcome to Speed's coverage of the Chevrolet Grand Am 200 from Belle Isle. Hello again, everyone. It's a beautiful day and a great race in store. I'm Bob Varsha, along with Calvin Fish and Dorsey Schrader. Brian Till and Chris Neville will be in the pits for today's event. Right now, the weather is good, but it could be a factor before this race is done. On the one and only temporary street circuit these sports car drivers will see all year long. It kicks off a 6-race string in the next 12 weeks that could well decide our champions before we get to season's end. But Dorsey, your many years racing in this area as a factory driver have taught you this is a very special event.
It's very special. It's Motown. This is home to Ford and General Motors. All the top brass of both companies come to watch this. It's their front yard. It's their playground. If you're a Ford driver like I was, you got one job: beat Chevy. And if you're a Chevy driver, you take out the Ford. It makes it really exciting. I mean, I still get goosebumps about this thing.
Dorsey, make no mistake about it. The manufacturers want to win this race. And last year, it was a GM party. They won both classes today. I think there's some potential spoilers in the group, namely Ford. They've got 200 more RPM for this race. They've really got a pep in their step in qualifying. And GT, well, the Ferrari hasn't won this year. They lead the championship, but they sit on the pole, and 3 very fast cars in the field today.
It's a great racing party. Now, our last race at Road Atlanta in the hills of North Georgia was more than a month and a half ago. So let's get you caught up on the season to date, beginning with the Daytona Prototype class. The DP points leaders are the 3-time defending series champions and Rolex 24 at Daytona winners, Ganassi Racing. Their impressive victory in Round 4 at Road Atlanta extends their points lead coming into Detroit to 7 over the last team to win a Rolex Series title before them.
And that's Gainesco Racing, whose 2013 redemption continued when they posted their 3rd straight podium in Braselton. Momentum continues to build off their win at Circuit of the Americas and their runner-up finish at Barber Motorsports Park to
Wayne Taylor Racing, who's experienced an up-and-down season thus far with a win at Barber, then a drop in the points when they finished outside the top 5 in Atlanta. Things got heated when Max Angelelli tangled with Antonio Pizzonia in the number 6 Michael Shank racing car during the end of the race, spilling onto pit lane.
Speaking of pit lane, the driver shakeup between the Action Express teams didn't have its intended results at Road Atlanta. Joao Barbosa got caught up in an incident with another car in this bizarre moment. The numbers 9 and 5 will look for better results heading back to Motown, where they finished 1-2 a year ago.
Well, it's an all-Corvette front row for the 2nd year in a row here in Detroit. Jordan Taylor in the number 10 Velocity Worldwide Corvette qualified on the pole. His first in the Daytona Prototype class on a track that he won the GT class in last year. John Fogerty qualified outside the front row in the 99 Red Dragon from Gainesco Racing. This morning in warm-up, Alex Gurney looked for a little more speed. He found the speed, but he also found the wall. Now, the crew tells me a new front splitter and some body work is all that's required, and they'll be good to go at the green. The 99, 2nd in the championship. The number 10, 3rd in the championship, so you would expect them to be fast here. Another car you would expect to be fast would be your championship leader, Scott Pruitt and Memo Rojas. But the best Rojas could do in qualifying was 7th. If they want to hold on to that championship points lead, they're going to have to move forward before the checkered flag falls. Now, I said those 3 teams doing well in the championship. But Chris Neville, there are other Daytona prototype teams here this weekend that if they want to stay in the hunt, they're going to have to prove themselves and provide some results here at Detroit.
Yeah, Brian, we're 1/3 of the way through the championship, and we're starting to see some separation between the contenders and the pretenders. Last year, we saw Action Express finish 1-2 at this event. This year, that team is struggling. They desperately need a good finish if they're going to keep in contention of the championship. One of our preseason favorites, Spirit of Daytona, they've got one podium finish. They cannot afford any more poor results if they want to stay alive in the championship. But one of the big surprises this year, the 2-car, the strength and consistency of Ryan DL and Alex Popoff. They're starting 3rd today. They're 4th in the championship. I think this team is poised for a breakthrough win. Bob?
All right, thanks, guys. And now let's talk about a driver rivalry that has boiled over in our most recent event at Road Atlanta. It's between Max Angelelli and Antonio Pizzonia. Round 2, Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. Angelelli tried an ambitious move up the inside, center punch Pizzonia's Michael Shank Racing Ford Riley, and then things got worse 2 races later at Road Atlanta.
I think everything started on track during the race. When I made the move in turn 1, I think I made a clear move on the inside. Unfortunately, we had a little contact, and I think he was a little upset about that, you know.
I was in the pit lane by myself. The guy came after me, next to me, hit me, put me on the grass, and walk away. I hope not to meet him in the racetrack. Normally he's behind, so I'm guessing I'm going to be in front, so I doubt I will see him again.
As usual, Dorsey, there's 2 sides of the story, and I think the rivalry is great. I think it's going to be great for the series, and one thing's for sure, these boys are going to see each other again this season.
Yeah, but I want to see each other on the racetrack. That hitting after the fact, that cost Wayne Taylor $15,000 in damage. Pass the checkered flag, leave it alone.
And both teams were fined $2,500 apiece for the incident. We'll see what happens. We're going to take a break, and when we return, we'll talk about the other 2 classes in action this weekend. Speed's coverage of the Rolex Sports Car Series is presented by Rolex. Brought to you in part by Continental Tire, innovative technology, driving confidence, and by Mazda. On any given weekend, more Mazdas are road raced than any other brand.
We are ready to go racing.
And they're rubbing already. Oh, he hit the wall.
I don't know what he did.
Alex has got a run. Right. Yes. Good stuff.
Well, that's too aggressive. Oh, he hurt the car.
Wow, Joao Barbosa.
He's going to run.
1-2 for Corvette. Superb run here for Jordan Taylor and the whole Auto House crew.
What a day for Chevrolet. What a day indeed as Chevrolet swept both ends of the debut of the Rolex Sports Car Series here at the Raceway on Belle Isle. It's almost time to go racing. First, we want to get you up to date on the other 2 classes of competition along with the DPs in today's event, GT and GX. It's a close championship featuring a diverse lineup of brands. Alessandro Balzan and his 63 Scuderia Corsa Ferrari leads a tight group of cars on top of the GT standings, but he's yet to find victory lane after a penalty for avoidable contact at Circuit of the Americas. Still, they have found their speed with 2 straight podium finishes.
How about the team Balzan bumped in Austin? Magnus Racing has also not won a race, but quiet consistency has Andy Lally and John Potter just a point out of the championship lead, directly in front of
The hottest team in the Grand Am paddock, Stevenson Motorsports. The 57 Camaro, driven by John Edwards and Robin Liddell, is coming off back-to-back victories and heading to Detroit, where they finished 3rd a year ago.
Then there's the Turner Motorsport 94 BMW, 4th after their win earlier this year in Texas. One of a clutch of cars hoping for a win and a leap into title contention.
Well, Chevrolet well represented on the front row in GT as well here in Detroit. Borised took his number 31 Whelen Engineering Corvette and put it outside the front row, but at the drop of the green, he is going to be surrounded by Ferraris. You've got to go back to 5th to get to the next GM product. That is the 57 Camaro from Stevenson Motorsports. You guys said it. They've won the last 2 races in a row. They qualified well, and they finished on the podium here last year while a sister Camaro won this event. So Chevrolet looking to continue to flex their muscle in the Motor City, Chris.
Well, Brian, you talk about that American V8s, but 3 of the top 5 are that iconic red Ferrari, and it's Max Pappas getting his first GT pole and his first Rolex pole since pairing with Scott Pruitt back in the 2004 season. And he had a little bit of good luck on his side this week, and I'm sure a lot of race fans remember the story from last week. Alex Zanardi lending Indy 500 winner Tony Kanaan, his Paralympics gold medal from 2012. Well, he lent it to good friend Max Pappas this week. That good luck charm helping him with the pole yesterday and hopefully helping he and co-driver Jeff Siegel get a breakthrough win here today.
And we should also mention the Turner Motorsports BMWs, the 93 and 94 car. They've had a litany of problems this weekend. They are way up there in the GT Championship, but they will start way back there on the grid for today's race. Have a look at our pole sitters in each of the classes. Jordan Taylor simply ought to buy a condominium in Detroit. He wins the GT race last year, takes his first DP pole this year. Max Pappas, as Chris mentioned, his first career pole in a long time. And Tom Long will have the GX Mazda 6 starting on pole in that class. How about a look at the raceway on Belle Isle, Dorsey?
Well, Belle Isle is running several different configurations over the years. We're running on a new one this year, and I'm going to highlight the new area. And it incorporates a long straightaway. Down this straightaway here, very long straightaway, and I want you to pay attention to turn 3. The braking zone there is a very difficult one. It's very good for passing, but if you can get in trouble there as well. Also, this is concrete lined racetrack all the way around. A spin here is a crash.
Spinning is very easy to do here, as we've seen over and over again in practice and qualifying. Keys to the race, Calvin?
Well, patience. Last year, Bob, we saw guys in traffic get too impatient and put it in the wall. Also on cold tires, Ricky Taylor hit the pit wall. Track position, you'd think that's obvious. It's always key. But here, you never know what's going to happen at the end of this race. You've got to stay at the sharp end of the field. And weather, that is very much an unknown, which brings that track position to be even more of a factor.
And the weather has been changeable each and every day. We've had heavy thunderstorms on Thursday and Friday. They are expected today. We just don't know when they're coming. And, of course, that puts extra pressure on the field. Across the top of the screen, our Rolex starting grid. As Jordan Taylor leads away. And here's a look at our onboard cameras.
Stefan Sarazan behind the wheel of the Corvette DP. They've done some testing. They're going to be very fast here today, I believe. The number 6 car, they've been strong. That Ford's got a couple hundred RPM. Ricky Taylor trying to make amends here in Detroit. Then you see a couple of our GT cars, the GT, the number 69, defending series champ Emil Asentado, and the number 70 Mazda machine in the GX class.
Beautiful day right now, but as I said earlier, the bad weather can come here in a hurry. Dorsey, you're our Midwestern United States specialist. What can we expect?
We're going to get wet. It's just when is the question. 50% chance of rain. We might get this race in with before that rain hits here, but it's touch and go the whole way.
One thing's for sure, Dorsey, your flight will be delayed.
Yeah, you know, but, yeah, it's a given.
Well, you can see what a beautiful location this is. Detroit on the right in that shot. Windsor, Ontario, Canada on the left. The Ambassador Bridge crossing the Detroit River. And this Belle Isle Park circuit is terrific.
It's a very special place. You know, to me, I love this place with Ford and General Motors across the way. It's so intense here. I mean, it's so important.
Well, you lived it for so many years, and here we see the manufacturer's standings right now. After 4 races, it's pretty tight, as you can see, all the way through the 3 classes.
And we talked about the hot cars high in the points that are starting deep in the field, and certainly one of those are the leaders in the DP category, the 01 Memo Rojas and Scott Pruitt. Here comes the field. The green flag awaits.
Very tricky turn 1 here. If anybody gets it wrong, it's going to block the track. Hopefully they'll get it right.
Flags are in the air. We're underway. A quick right-left flick and then on to the long front straightaway.
Look at Popov, really aggressive there in the white number 2 machine. He goes side by side with Fogarty through turn 2.
Good start because it gives him position for turn 3. What I talked about before, here's the GT start coming 14, 15 seconds behind.
Max Pappas on the inside will lead Boris Said to the line.
Remember this turn 3 run now, Calvin, a much longer straightaway.
Oh,
and trouble in turn 3. Just like I said it was going to be.
Down at turn 3, contact between that car and the 60. That's one of the BMW Rileys.
Look at Fogarty. He's got shuffled all the way back to 4th. Ricky Taylor, good start.
Oh, and more contact.
The 6 car's done.
The championship leader. He's done. Right rear is ripped out of that car.
And the GT car's right behind here, about to show up. Fire on the back of the 01.
Full course caution. We hope all the GT drivers see it before they get to that point on the racetrack.
Yeah, you got a lot of fluid down too. Here comes the GT. Come. That's what I was talking about. Turn 3, it's a long run down there. Cold tires. You get down there, hard brake zone. There's a lot of bumps there. And these guys didn't get it right.
Well, we've been talking about it amongst ourselves all weekends with this run of 6 races in 12 weeks coming up. you can help yourself a little bit here in Detroit by doing well, but you can certainly hurt yourself by digging a hole. As you look at Chip Ganassi, the team co-owner.
Yeah, he's not happy
He
at all.
can't believe it. The team running Cessna colors here for this weekend. They expected to be flying, not sitting at the side of the track.
Also, new sponsor on Michael Shank's car, the other car involved in this wreck. As you see that green and white for it, a different color for the Shank number 6.
That is massive. To Chris Neville.
Bob, just listening to this team on the radio before the drive of the green, Tim Keene, team manager, telling Memo Rojas, hey, we've got a bad starting position today. Let's keep our nose clean. Really good decisions out there. Right after this wreck, he said, come on, Memo.
Rojas's co-driver, Scott Pruitt, shaking his head on the pit wall. He will not get in the car here in Detroit. Let's hear from Scott now with Chris.
Well, Scott, just coming off the war wagon down here, and obviously everybody quite dejected. What did you see there, Scott?
Well, we're just looking at it right now. I mean, this is one of those places you just got to be incredibly cautious, starting back the field, getting going, and not really sure. I mean, we're just seeing the replays now, and just bad day for the 01 and for Cessna and all the way around. I mean, this is certainly not what we needed today. So
we got a lot of races in the next couple months. How does the team react to this?
Oh, we just go. First thing to do is see. I mean, that car looks pretty tore up. Not sure if we can get out and get going again. If we can, we'll do. If not, we just put our focus on Mid-Ohio.
Well, it looks like this team's headed back to the trailer. Brian?
Well, down here at Mike Shank Racing, both of his cars were involved. And Mike, most important thing first, did you talk to John Pugh in the 60? Is he okay?
Yeah, he's okay. He's out of the car now. So, yeah, man, not the way we wanted to start the green car there today, but I don't know what to say. I mean, it's just a tragedy. The car was really good today. John was doing a great job. Michael was very quick in it this morning, and that's all we can do now.
Let's talk about the 6. You got a chance to watch the replay. What did you think?
I don't want to say too much now. I don't know totally a lot, but, you know, Gus was completely beside him. You know, I don't know what they're going to say yet. I really don't. I don't want to say anything because I don't know all the facts yet.
Well, it's bad enough when you got one car involved, but when you've got 2, it makes the day even worse, guys.
Well, 2 of those cars were total victims, Calvin. I mean, John Pugh didn't have anywhere he could go after that happened.
You've got to give each other a bit of racing. You've got to respect one another. I understand Yakman, he's an aggressive young driver. He dives down the inside here. But, you know, he forces Memo all the way out. He's trading paint with him and basically leaves him with the wall.
The right thing there after they made contact would have give him room, move back over, and you look at this dejection.
Pugh was awesome in qualifying. I mean, within a second of the pole and just did a tremendous qualifying run. And he had Michael Valiante subbing for Osnegra again this weekend. Second fast in the warm-up. Here we see it down into 3. Let's see what happens, Dorsey. Okay. The Salins car gets in really late. Just clips John Pugh. He was going to continue with no drama.
Again, they're getting down there on cold tires. They've only had one corner. It's a really hard brake zone. There's a lot of bumps. So I knew we'd have some trouble there. You know, it's normal. But if these guys aren't used to running on street courses, I can tell you, you got to give room. You got to finish this race to win it. You can't do that kind of driving like what happened right there. And it wasn't John Pugh's fault. I mean, he was just in the wrong place, right time. And that can bite you here. That's why these are unpredictable races at this track.
There's Gustavo Yakman, who played such a key role in a tangle that has taken the championship leading team, car, and co-drivers out of this race. A look at the GT start.
We see Pappas, he wasn't about to give away that lead early. He had a hard-earned pole position here yesterday. You see Liddell up to 4th in the team that's gone for 3 in a row.
Because they're racing into a wreck situation up ahead too. They had to catch the back end of the wreck, so nothing happened with that, so they did heads up.
It's on board the 70 GX Mazda. They've had a lot of electronic troubles with that car this weekend. It seems to be running well now. First caution flag, we had 4 last year. We'll be back in a moment to the raceway at Belle Isle with the Rolex Sports Car Series. There's another beautiful look across Belle Isle to Detroit, Michigan. Side of round 5 of the Rolex Sports Car Series. We are still under a full course caution. It came out on lap 1 following a heavy impact that took out 2 front-running cars, including the championship leaders from Ganassi Racing.
Yeah, there you see Scott talked about, can we get back in the race? I mean, there's no way.
No.
I mean,
It'll take them a while to get that hooked up. They're just going to have to drag it up on top of that rollback. One of the things about running a street course is that, you know, normally on a road race course, when you have a wreck in front of you, you can go in the grass, you can go left, you can go right.
Yeah.
But this is concrete walls. Take a look. I mean, there's nothing in the world you can do once the thing bounces off the wall. Here we'll see the 2 cars go in. Now watch John Pugh. He has nothing he can do.
Yeah. Just kind of a hip check by Jackman there. Just past the apex, so Memo had nowhere to go, and John, having had that slight delay in turn 3, he's suddenly just an innocent bystander there.
Of course, the right thing to do back there when the contact was first made was to move over, let room for the outside car to be able to make that, not rub him off on the wall. You see right here.
Well, that's
right
it here. He's down the inside, right about there. He's got to slow it down a little bit and come out in the middle of the road. He can't just drive the guy off the racetrack.
Exactly. That right there gave the outside car no chance whatsoever of recovery.
Right.
He couldn't do anything out there. He was trapped.
And we heard Michael Shank talking about it, how Gustavo, or Gus as he called him, was alongside. And in Michael's defense, he does not have all the facts yet. But as you're pointing out, you're alongside, but that car's got to have somewhere to go.
There's a concrete wall there. Where's it going to disappear to? You know,
and he's a young driver, Dorsey. He won here last year in Indy Lights. He was very disappointed with his qualifying run, so I think he was on go mode. Do you know what I mean? I think that was predetermined. I'm going to be aggressive here at the beginning, but it's a street circuit. You got to give each other room.
At the end of a race, a move like that, maybe, you know, we'll take a look at the restart. At the last lap of a race, you're going to run a guy hard like that, you know. And what you're wanting is the outside guy to slow up and duck out of there. But the first lap of a race, no.
Let's go to Brian Till.
Wayne Taylor sitting here on the box. And Wayne, the one thing this long full of course caution is going to do is potentially change strategies. I know coming in, maybe a 2-stop race for you guys, but if this yellow is long enough, could we do it in just one?
We have to wait and see. You know, obviously everybody's running a fuel race. We're just going to have to wait and see what happens and how much longer this is going to stay under caution.
I mean, these street courses like this, always challenging. You just watched that on the replay.
Yeah, I don't know what the driver in the car number 6 thinks he's doing. I mean, this is the 3rd event that car, I mean, that car's taken us out of 2 races, and now he's taken out the championship leader. You know, a stop in 60 seconds is not adequate for him. He needs to be banned for 3 races.
Yeah, Wayne Taylor not pleased to see that incident, even though it didn't involve his car, Chris.
Tim Keene and over back at the hauler here waiting for his car and his driver. And Tim, you've had a chance to see the replay now. I think initially you thought, you know, Memo was maybe going hard there, but obviously he had nothing to do with that.
No, it looked like Jackman made a pretty late move underneath us, and I doubt that Memo even knew he was there until it was too late. And the thing of it is, he just didn't leave us no room. He kept tracking us out until we hit the wall, and then his team car hit us with the 60, and that was a pretty big hit. And I mean, the car's severely damaged. We won't be getting back out, and it's a shame because, you know, we have Cessna on board this weekend, and, you know, all our partners with Telmex, and it's just a shame for the whole deal, really.
Yeah, this team going to pack up real quick and head back to Indianapolis and try to get that car repaired.
All right, thank you, Chris. It looks like the cleanup is getting closer to completion, so we'll take another break and come back to resume green flag racing in round 5 of the Rolex Sports Car Championship. Rolex Grand Ham 200 at Belle Isle.
Whenever the Rolex Sports Car Series comes to Detroit, people think about big bore, high horsepower muscle cars. The high horsepower muscle car on everybody's mind this weekend is the brand new Chevrolet Corvette Stingray. And who better to tell us about a Corvette than a guy who races one, Eric Curran, who runs a Corvette in the Rolex Sports Car Series.
This is really exciting for you and I to be sitting in this car right now, number 0001. So how about we take a little ride?
It works for me. Let's go.
Let's go.
This technology is just amazing. I mean, it's like a race car for the street. 460 horsepower, over 450 foot-pounds of torque on the base model Corvette. And what really amazes me about this thing, $52,000 starting price to get you in a car like this with all this performance. The amount of hours and effort that General Motors and Chevrolet put into this car to get these results. I mean, how do you get 460 horsepower and still get great gas mileage and still have it ride nice and still have it be a car that we can go straight to the track with and push it as hard as we're pushing it right now? This thing is serious.
If you want to feel the push of Chevy muscle in your own Corvette Stingray, go to Chevy.com for more info or visit your local Chevy dealer.
That Corvette is an awesome car, and if you're a regular follower of the Barrett-Jackson auctions here on Speed, you would know that back in January, Rick Hendrick one of the biggest Chevrolet dealers in the country, and of course, Hall of Famer when it comes to NASCAR team ownership, bought the rights to that 0001 Corvette. So my question is, what are these guys doing driving Rick's car?
Well, a guy named Roger Penske drove that car as well, and I'd be very nervous. He's a prankster.
You know, I heard there was some brake smoke emanating after a couple of laps. Roger had given a couple of hot laps, so
kind of explored the limits of it, did he?
Maybe you knew it was Rick's
Here's your car back, Rick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not the first time Rick's had that happen either.
Here's a Rick feeling good about life right now. Ricky Taylor up to 3rd.
He was so down on himself after qualifying. He said, I'll never make my way from 5th up there. I mean, he was just down. I mean, I'm sure his mindset today is different, but he just got 2 positions too, Cal.
Well, 2 things. One, his brother's on the pole.
Yeah, that's not
right. And he was really only a 10th off the front row, and he had a lap that, according to their data, was 2/10 up on the pole position, and he clipped the wall coming out of turn 11 and aborted the lap. So, you know, he's just frustrated. He's not seeing those pole positions that he's been used to seeing with his father's team, and he feels the performance is there. He's just got to execute.
And as good as this track has been to brother Jordan, it hasn't been quite the same for Ricky Taylor. Let's go back to last year.
This is horrible. Here he comes out of pit lane. He releases the pit lane speed limiter, and just a moment of indiscretion, and he gets into the wall. Just right there, a hard hit.
We talk about patience, just trying to get back out there, beat the pack, and they had the lead. They had a strong race car, and it was a tough summer for Ricky Taylor. He had about 2 or 3 races there where everything that could go wrong went wrong for him, but he rebounded, and of course they won the final race of the championship season.
I mentioned at the top of the show, this is the one and only temporary or street circuit on the calendar for the Rolex Sports Car Series this year.
And you have to drive these differently. I mean, if you're not a guy that's done a lot of street course racing, there's not as much as there used to be in the 80s and 90s where we ran 5 races a year on streets. These are like autocrosses that you can't hit the cone. You got to use every bit of the racetrack. You have to be aggressive, but you cannot make a mistake because you always suffer.
Let's get down to Brian Till in the pit lane before we go green.
Alex Gurney watching. It's gotten crazy early, hadn't it? I know this morning you guys were looking for a little more speed. You found a little bit of the wall, but the car's back together. Probably don't even have tire temperature yet, but you feel like the 99 is going to be good for John here in these opening laps?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, looked like the 2 just got a little jump on us on the start there, but yeah, the car was quick. We were quickest in the warm-up, so we feel good about the car, and we're excited to hopefully bring a home win for Chevrolet.
You guys have been running so strong this year. The track has changed from last year. This little addition of the straightaway down to turn 3, has that helped?
It has quite a bit, actually. I was able to get by a few guys in practice, and you know, that's where the bulk of the passing is happening. So I think it makes for a better racetrack.
99 Red Dragon, this Gainesco team having a great start to 2013.
I tell you what, Dorsey, none of these teams need extra incentive to win today. They're in the Motor City. But I tell you what, when the championship leader, the 01 team that has won 3 championships in a row, are on the sidelines, this is a big opportunity. You need to cash in.
You can make a big jump in the points toward the end of the year championship for sure. You know, we talk about this new racetrack, new configuration. It's actually new. It's been run on before. It was run on in '98 and in 2001. And in both of those years also, there were some problems in the turn 3 area. You know, it's a pretty tricky area.
The pits are open, but virtually no cars have made pit stops, which plays to Brian Till's point earlier about teams stretching the pit stop strategy, hoping for a 1 stop.
Absolutely. Let's see how it goes. Oh, car's jumping out of line early. That's Yakiman again. He's getting in trouble again. You're not allowed to brake.
Green flag. Green flag.
Wow, green was not out before he was jumping, so we'll have to see what happens there. He checked himself up and got back in line, but Popoff, how aggressive will he be? It looks like Jordan Taylor's got a great run through 1 and 2 and has stretched the lead.
Hopefully that opening lap crash was a wake-up call to these guys, and they can get a lap in, get these tires up to temperature, up to pressure, and feel this racetrack out. Nobody's been on the thing.
This is the new section that was added after last year's event to let cars like these stretch their legs. And again, these are city streets. Look at the bumping between corners. The crowning of the road is unlike any permanent racetrack you'll ever run on. And now the stewards have issued a stop-and-go plus 60-second penalty to the 6th car of Gustavo Yakiman for avoidable contact.
And let me just say this one time, he's getting off lucky.
Yeah, because Paul Walter has said that's really the minimum for that sort of contact. So he could have made the pass. The pass was fine, but it's the fact I think he just didn't give Mamo any room on the exit of the corner is why he's coming to pit lane.
Through the stadium section, turn 7, 8, 9, 10, and to 11. This is 10, and here was 11.
The stop and hold plus 60 Bob is going to be a lap.
Yeah.
You look at 27 lap around here, you're going to be losing a lap to the rest of the field.
Look at not only the bumps of the racetrack, but also the pavement changes. And you can see the asphalt, some of it lighter, some of it darker. The darker pieces just repaved. The grip level changes drastically when you go across those. This is more difficult than what most people can understand, I think.
6 car hits the pits to serve the penalty immediately.
I anticipate when he is released, he'll probably be just behind the leaders and a lap down with the lap times they're running. And the run down pit lane, there's a delta there that you're going to lose anyway. Just running down pit lane at 45 miles an hour. Look at Popov. Here comes Sarrazin looking to the inside of John Fogarty. The 8-Star Motorsports Group are really trying to tune things up a little bit. They did a test at Sebring with Michael Valiente. They made a lot of progress, but look at Sarrazin. He's looking really racy. This is where Yackerman forced the issue.
Fogarty back there is not getting traction. You saw him, he lit up the tires coming out the corner. That's one of the things you have to work on at this racetrack. You have to be able to launch, because if you wag that tail coming on the straightaway and the other guy doesn't, it's over.
You have to wonder, there was that cloud that Alex Gurney had in the warm-up session this morning. It looked like he got away with it. He drove the car back to pit lane. They changed the front clip essentially, but maybe something's a little awry with the suspension setup, and Fogarty may be struggling a bit.
Sarrazin up to 4th, Fogarty down to 5th.
The 8-Star Motorsport Group, they're going to be running 2 cars starting at Watkins Glen, so they're really ramping up their effort.
The next red and white car in line is Christian Fittipaldi in one of the Action Express cars. To the GT battle, Max Pappas started from pole. He has his Ferrari 458 Italia Grand Am out front. Boris said right there in the Corvette.
Top 4, just like they qualified, as a matter of fact.
And in 3rd, we have the championship leader, the Scuderia Corsa team. Jeff Westphal behind the wheel. What a tremendous job he's done this year as he's been drafted in on a full-time basis, running alongside Balzan.
Actually, Robin Liddell's up in that group, the 4th place car right now. So that's a car we wanted to watch. This could be a pretty good car around this racetrack. It's very good on bumps, and this is a bumpy circuit.
Flashing along the start-finish straightaway to start another lap. Another break coming up, and we'll be back with more of the Chevrolet Grand Am 200 from Belle Isle here on Speed. There's a good look at the Detroit River and an ore boat making its way upstream toward Lake Huron. Back to the action in the Chevrolet Grand Am 200 with Calvin Fish, Dorsey Schrader, Brian Till, and Chris Neville. I'm Bob Varsha. Here's that turn 1-2 section over a brow and onto the long front straight.
Max Pappas, our pole setter, continuing to lead, maintaining a nice margin there over Boris Said. Westphal's doing a great job, but he's coming under attack from someone who's gone for 3 in a row. That's Rob Liddell and that Stevenson Camaro. That Camaro's got a slightly bigger throttle bottle, even though they've won the last 2 events. Bit more horsepower for this home race for the GM boys.
Well, we see Boris Said running up there in 2nd place right now. Good run for that team. They have definitely struggled this first third of the season. Problems at Road Atlanta with the transmission, problems at Coda with suspension failure there. So they're looking for a good finish, but that team already looking to 2014 where they're going to get a Daytona prototype. Asking Boris Said who might be doing the Rolex 24 with him. He said, well, I'm pretty good friends with Dale Jr. and Jamie Whincup, but who knows? Brian?
Well, you watch the 57 Stevenson's Motorsports Camaro. Robin Liddell trying to hold on to that Camaro right now. Tire wear could be a concern, but Calvin spoke about that larger throttle body. They do indeed have it on the car, but the other thing that they got when they put that throttle body on this weekend was a miss that they can't seem to find. So some type of electronic miss on the 5.7 has been plaguing them all weekend long. It'd be interesting to see if they still have that problem as Liddell trying to put pressure on the cars in front.
You'd think they'd be in the right town to get that sort of thing fixed.
Well, Liddell's certainly putting the heat on Westphal right now, and the weekend did not get off for a strong start in the opening practice session here yesterday morning. Robin Liddell tagged the wall pretty hard, and a lot of rear end damage to that car. He then got out in qualifying, said the car was really loose, but it seems like they've made the right adjustments. His car looks to be hooked up right now.
Throttle body on these cars, these fuel-injected cars, is equivalent to a carburetor on an older car. It allows more air to get into the engine, which allows the injectors to put more fuel, making more power.
And now the battle for the lead catches GT and GX traffic.
This is where you have to be patient. We saw Westy kind of throw it away in this corner last year, trying to go inside the 40 machine. And look at this. Ricky Taylor one side, Fogarty the other, Sarrazin to the outside. Crazy stuff.
That's why if you're in a GT car and these guys do that to you, it's not fun, let me tell you.
Now there's the 5 car from Action Express. I should correct something I said earlier. It turns out the 5 and 9 from Action Express both pitted during that first caution. So all things being equal, are they changing the strategy on both cars?
Well, I think what they're doing is they didn't have great track position, so it's almost like a freebie. You might as well come in, top the car up with fuel. That increases your window as to how far you can run on this next stretch. And if we get a bit more yellow, I mean, everyone's saying 45 to 50 minutes as a fuel run, and with the amount of yellow we've seen now, I don't think they're still going to do it on one more, but with a little bit of help, they may be able to, and the others may still need to. So it's a good strategy for them.
Yeah, it didn't really cost them anything because they were back there anyway, so why not gamble it? And you're still trying for luck, but it gives you a bullet.
Well, you're right there anyway. You're right on the tail end of where you would have been. So it's just coming down to the pit lane and topping them up.
I wonder why you wouldn't try the gamble with one car and keep the other one on the
split
standard.
them. You know, that would have been something worth thinking about too, actually.
Right.
Especially as long as that pit stop was.
This is the strand off of that new pavement into turn 7.
Those tires sitting there, for the people that notice that, are bolted to the ground. So you don't want to just go up there and brush those. They're going to brush back.
Alex Popoff in the 2 cars doing a tremendous job here this weekend. They've had a couple of runner-up finishes this year, he and Ryan Dial, but they really feel they had a test also in this 6-week breakdown at Sebring, did the long and the short version of the course there. Feel like they found a little something. They've also got 200 more RPMs, which has been given to all of the Ford runners since the last round of the championship. But we call it BOP, balance of performance. Even though the results have been there, they feel that the Fords have been struggling more on acceleration than top end. So they feel that's the right adjustment. And Ryan Dial said, yes, it definitely helps a little bit. We won't see it so much here, but certainly when we get to the bigger tracks, it should be a major factor.
Where it helps is in first, second, and third gears. That split between first, second, and third gears, that extra 200 RPM gets you through it cleaner so that the segment time is better. However, top end wise, it really doesn't do anything much up there at all. But it's just a little bit. It's a little bit.
Watching the GT battle. Right now, let's hear from Chris Neville about some of the action in Daytona Prototype. Chris?
Well, Calvin, you were talking about that test that the 2 car did at Sebring. They also spent 2 days on the shaker rig, really working on shock development on the 2 and the 8. They really learned about those 2 cars coming here, and they think they can carry it through the rest of the season. Also, I just checked in with team principal Peter Barron. He said they're good to go with just 1 stop in this race now.
You see the 8 car in identical Star Works colors up ahead. That is Brendan Hartley. That car made a pit stop and a driver change.
It could be a help right now.
Steve Fogarty really putting the heat on Ricky Taylor. Sarah's then dealing with traffic. So the 2 car, the Ford powered car, even with those increasing revs, Peter Barron saying they're good to go on 1 stop. So the rest of the field should be pretty close to that same number. So we'll have to wait and see. A lot of strategy to play out yet.
Back onto the strand, headed for turn 12.
That's one of the things around the street course. Oh, and here's pass for 2nd place. Everybody by Boris got held up.
Yeah, that was a good, strong move by Westphal there, getting that 2nd position away from Boris Ed, and he got wide in the dust there, and Liddell immediately took advantage of the situation, so he's up there. So this Camaro, boy, oh boy, they started the year with 2 really disappointing runs, barely getting any points on the board, then 2 wins, they're back in it.
So Westphal and Liddell move up to 2nd and 3rd in class. We've got another break coming up. Here's a look at our top 3 in Daytona Prototype. Jordan, Alec, and Ricky. Welcome back to the Raceway at Belle Isle, the Chevrolet Grand Am 200. There is the new leader in the overall and Daytona Prototype class. Alex Popoff has gotten by Jordan Taylor in the Star Works Ford Riding.
Wow, what a power move. And I tell you what, he is on fire this weekend. Ryan Dial said Alex is really on it. He's really come to grips with the car and the setup. He likes it. He said, I like it. He said, we're going to be tough tomorrow. This was yesterday when he was talking to me, and he's proven to be right so far.
Don't ignore the fact that behind him is his team car, which is the 8, which is holding up the 10, I would think. I don't know. We haven't seen the pass yet, but those are 2 Fords on a Chevy. Remember what I said before?
Yeah.
It's all for all.
Yeah, that's right. And Brendan Hartley's now behind the wheel of the 8, and he's been really fast this year. And Jordan Taylor says, I've had enough of this waiting. I'm going now. Got to be careful there, though. Nearly gets his nose chopped. That's where Westy got it clipped last year in the Spirit Daytona car, which is the one we're on board with now with Ricky Taylor driving. Such a fine line between aggression and patience around these street circuits. Look at that.
Oh, and there's some
damage. That's the rear under tray. That's going to loosen down for us, Dorsey.
Yeah, it will. Just a little moment's indiscretion right there. It's all it took. Contact wheel to wheel, and it tore off that under tray, which adds a lot of rear downforce. And there's
flying. Debris.
Yeah, that's going to be a handful, I would imagine.
Probably on Stefan Zarazan's mind. He's got the same view you do.
Yeah, and that's going to come off right in his face here in a minute.
That piece is probably going to have more effect on the faster corners than the low speed stuff like he's in right now, but certainly it's going to be a balance change that Ricky will need to adjust to.
From the onboard, the 3 car. Ricky goes up the inside and pow.
See, it lifted the car up. I mean, those tires touch. The rubber gets a hold of each other, and it causes pretty good damage there.
Tommy Dreesy behind the wheel. He's already Sarazan's through. Tommy Dreesy behind the wheel of the 18 car. He's already had a race today, and
left rear's down.
Got a flat left.
Yeah, that's why he almost got in the wall back there. That's the other thing you have to worry about with side-to-side contact is knocking the valve stems off the wheel.
It's amazing watching the contact we've seen between cars and cars in the wall this weekend. Sometimes these cars will just drive away from heavy impacts, and yet other times seemingly minor contact leaves you with a problem like this one.
That was a good save by Ricky because the left rear was already lost pressure. It's not all the way down yet, but as he went through that corner, Sarazan to the inside, you could see he was struggling with the car. Kept it out of the tires. Just got to get it back to pit lane. The key is, can they get this car serviced and get it out on the lead lap?
To your point, Bob, the front end of these race cars is really, really, really strong. The side, though, doesn't have any body work that extends out past the wheel. So when you hit, you actually hit the wheel to the wheel.
Yep.
And it does a lot of damage to axles, half shafts, and valve stems, etc. Wheels.
And you saw Ricky Taylor getting ready for what we assume is a driver change. Back to the GT battle, and Brian Till.
Yeah, the GT having a good go of it. 61 Max Pappas with that Ferrari on pole. Remo Ferri sitting down at the far end. Ian Willis calling the shots on the 61. That 8 laps of caution at the beginning. Ian, is it going to help you out? Can you do it in one stop?
It puts us really close now. We're not quite there yet. So we're trying to get the drivers to save fuel and lead the race. They really hate it when I come on the radio and say, drive fast but save fuel.
Yeah, Dorsey, you've heard that before, but they're keeping tabs of it down here and keeping notes on the car. It was a little loose early on, but they're trying to make it to halfway and do it on 1.
Look at this traffic in GT, guys.
Look at Liddell. Liddell slices down the inside of Westphal, takes the second spot.
And
there's
Bob.
Jordan Taylor in traffic. He gets clipped.
He did indeed with the GTX car.
We talk about the patience. You can't get caught up in this. You just got to settle things down. Don't start driving over your head.
So easy to get messed up here, you know, just...
You can get frustrated, Dorsey. You get frustrated. You get caught in the wrong spot. Suddenly you lose 2 or 3 seconds to the rest of the field.
It is so frustrating. I mean, it's unbelievable because it's so precise what you have to do around here.
Fogarty's car has come alive. We talked about the fact maybe there was a setup issue with it. Well, maybe it's just the way they've designed the setup for the course of the duration of a stint. Car's starting to come on strong.
Peter Barron and the Star Works team will be happy to see Alex Popov off in the lead. This is the first time the number 2 car has led a Rolex Sports Car Series race since the Rolex 24 back in January. There he is.
How important is it to Ford? I saw an old friend yesterday I haven't seen in a long time. The legendary Robert Yates, Doug Yates, you know, Jamie Allison, who was the head of all Ford Racing. All the big Ford guys were here.
Look at this battle. This is crazy. Battle for second there in the DP ranks. And look at Liddell. He now wants the lead.
We're getting word we have a car in the wall. It's the 90.
And that's Westy behind the wheel. So they've done a driver change past the 30-minute mark where Ricky Taylor would get points.
There he goes. It's the same corner coming around the back straightaway. There's a big bump there.
Let's see if we can find out more with with Chris Neville. Ricky Taylor just got out of the car.
Yeah, Bob, just moments ago they did that pit stop, tried to fix the left rear of that car. And Ricky, we saw some damage back there. What happened to you on the racetrack?
It's going great. I was really disappointed with myself after qualifying. But the car was excellent, and I was having so much fun battling with John and Jordan and Alex, who was doing an awesome job. But yeah, I just got hit, I think, in the back by Sarazan, and rear view camera was blocked up because I saw a piece of his nose stuck to it. But yeah, I feel terrible for the guys. We're having a good weekend, and I know Richard, I think we're on the lead lap still, so I know Richard can put us back up there.
Yeah, well, we just saw Richard got into the wall there, got into the tires, and the back end of that car looked pretty twitchy. You think that back end, that left rear suspension's okay?
Yeah, my initial thought was suspension, because it kind of went suddenly. It wasn't like a slow leak of the tire or anything. So hopefully it is just another tire. We got body rub or something, but if it's suspension, that's our day.
Actually, it looked like he got a little bit of help there from another prototype.
Got a lot of help.
Yeah, and it's the 6 car.
Right, the 6 strikes again.
And that was a definite hit. I mean, I don't know what to say right now. I don't want to say what I'm thinking. But
well,
I mean,
Gustavo
that was
Yakiman, he's not a rookie at this racetrack. He won the Indy Lights race on this circuit a year ago.
It's just,
I mean, that was before
too aggressive.
Yeah, that was just at turn-in. It was really early in the corner.
And Westy's probably not totally up to speed. He just put those fresh Continental tires on, so they're not up to pressure, not up to speed. Yakiman's in recovery mode. There's reasons, but we're making excuses. Do you know what I mean? You've got to race and give each other chances.
And the 70 car, which is having trouble. The Mazda looks to be limping into the pits. They've had what I think is an electrical issue. After about a half hour, it's been shutting off. It's losing power, and then they recycle the computer, and it gets going again. But
and yet the sister car, the 00, has not had the same problems.
They've changed everything on this car, too. They've changed the entire wiring loom. I mean, they haven't found it, but I mean, there's just so many things it could be.
Certainly showing performance. They're coming off their first victory of the season at Road Atlanta. And talking to Spencer Pampelli, who's driving the only non-Mazda in the GX class, he said that car, the Mazda, is really strong. Great torque off the corners, great handling. They're tough to beat now.
The Sky Active Diesel, Joel Miller and Andrew Carbonell took it to victory at Road Atlanta. That was a big moment for Mazda. There's a low moment for Richard Westbrook. We'll take a break and return. Back at the Raceway at Belle Isle in the Chevrolet Grand Am 200 with Calvin Fish, Dorsey Schrader, Brian Till, and Chris Neville. I'm Bob Varsha. Great battles in both the Daytona Prototype and GT classes. Pick up the GT cars. The top three, Pappas, Liddell, and Westfall, all running very close together.
It's been a lot closer than that just a moment ago. As we were in break, Liddell was literally chewing on the bumper of Max Pappas. So he wants the lead. The Camaro is coming alive. Max trying to hang on, give Ferrari their first victory of the season. This team tested at Shannonville. And really we're working on their brake package a little bit. It's more a driver development day, but they've been really having a problem with the rear end of the Ferrari, kind of snatching the rears, Dorsey, on entry to the corner, and they feel they've made some changes to the master cylinders and the brake package with the brake pad compounds to settle that down a bit. And that's what you need on a street, so you've got to have confidence going into these corners.
Yeah, and it looked like it almost happened to Max Pappas right there. You heard a little bit of the tire noise, and the back tried to step out.
See him there. He's fighting it. He's fighting it as though he's got too much rear bias.
You know, rear bias, it helps you turn into the corner because it rotates the back, but if your rear tires are going off too at the same time, it's not good.
Look at this. This was a couple of laps ago, going down that straightaway. Down towards turn 3. Pappas defends to the middle. Look at that. That was really close. You can see as they come alongside there with Liddell to the outside. So Pappas defends there, but that would have been really close to trading paint.
The one thing about this racetrack is you don't have to really block if you do exactly what Max did and stay in the middle of the road. There really isn't enough room to do much with it, you know. You can just stay in the center. It's not a blatant block, but it makes it really difficult.
The Daytona Prototype moving through was Wayne Nonemaker, running in the 9th position of the number 42 BMW Riley.
See those cars dance. Turn 2 now is such an important corner, Dorsey. It's always important on these street circuits to get good exit speed. But now there's that long straightaway, and you got that crest of the hill. You've really got to feather the throttle up over the top there, and that's where the time management is going to be key. You don't want to start to lose grip towards the end of the stint.
That turn 2, you always feel like you're going to crash here as you come over there. I never did. Brian did it for me. Still did crash.
Pappas is missing the apex a little bit there. I think he's feeling the heat, or maybe the handling's going away from him a little bit. Westphal just sits. See the water there on the racetrack. That's from where Westy got pitched into the tires there by Yakiman, and we have a lot of rain here. Heavy thunderstorms all weekend. Those tires are full of water.
And the grounds are fairly sopping wet as well. But kudos to Bud Denker and the organization here at Belle Isle. Roger Penske spearheading the effort to bring this race back to Detroit and develop this circuit. It's beautifully prepared this weekend, as you can see beyond the fencing there.
You would think this is the race for the overall lead, but it's a race for second as Alex Popov is checked out, guys. I mean, he's got that Ford pumping down the straightaway.
He's got a 4-second lead right now.
Yeah, just an awesome job by Alex. I mean, he is what we call a Pro-Am driver. But boy, oh boy, he's as quick as the majority of these pros in the field right now. He is really not compromising in any way for Peter Barron and Ryan Dial in their attempt to win races.
Well, that's the point. Who's the next guy in the car? Ryan Dial, and we know what he can do.
This would be, let me tell you, a huge win for Ford as Chevrolet swept last year, winning both classes. And a Ford hasn't done that well for a while. The 200 RPM is certainly helping a lot, but right now, I think, like you said, Calvin, I think Alex is on top of this game right now.
He really is. And I tell you what, sometimes it's hard to see how these guys are pushing. There's an indicator right there in the brake zone for turn 7. Jordan just locking up that right front momentarily, so he's right on the edge. And this 99 Red Dragon, they've got a lot of momentum this year. 3 consecutive podiums. They're right up in the points hunt, and with the 01 sideline for the day, this is the potential championship leader at the end of the day.
Let's get down to the pit lane. Brian Till standing by with one of the winning co-drivers from this event last year.
Well, the number 5 not at the top of the charts right now, but Christian Fittipaldi is very fast. Joao Barbosa standing watching. Now, I know you guys mixed up the driver pairing in Atlanta. You didn't have the result that you wanted, but you guys did run very well. It seems to be working, yes?
I mean, it's working really well. I mean, the whole team is doing an incredible job. Christian is doing good. He's just had bad luck in traffic, and traffic here in Detroit is key to win the race. But he's doing a great job, and we're looking forward to get back in the car. And hopefully we'll have a chance to defend our win from last year.
One of the few teams who took that first full course caution, came in and took fuel. So you guys are on a different strategy. You kind of rolling the dice a little bit?
I hope it works for us.
He's looking for win number 2.
He wasn't committing.
Oh, one of the 93.
Well, he needs to get out of there. That's a target zone, as you can tell.
It's M&M, Michael Marcel behind the wheel right now.
Had some trouble in warm-up this morning as well, as he had that car turned around a couple different times.
Turn 3. Just have to get out of the way.
It is. Yeah, you can't turn around, you know, completely. You do a 3 or 4 point turn, but it leaves you vulnerable.
Is this car crabbing a little bit?
It's a 94.
Sister car.
Looks like it's crabbing.
Driving a little sideways at the rear.
They didn't go off for a good start this weekend either. Paul Dallalana pitched it into the fence pretty hard. Rudolph essentially.
Oh,
that was close.
That's what I'm talking about. It's so hard.
Well, let's see what happened to the 93 first.
Oh, he's going to get helped here.
Oh, the Daytona prototypes coming down.
He just didn't see him. I mean, Michael wasn't looking in the mirror at all right there.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a penalty on that one. I mean, certainly there was contact and the car got spun around, which typically means you're going to get penalized. But oh no, look at the damage to the 9.
And the 9 has damaged the left front.
That didn't look like such a huge hit, but you can see the left front is totally askew.
That goes back to what we were saying earlier about we've seen some huge incidents of contact that the cars just drive away from, and then something like that breaks something important.
This is broken on the left front. You just heard over the radio the contact. Had to be contact. You see the damage to the fender on the 94. So that car was suspension damage.
Paul Dallalana behind the wheel. Is going to be Billy Orblin jumping in. Those guys had that brilliant win at Circuit of the Americas, and yeah, the rear end of this car was totally destroyed in the practice incident yesterday. They had to fly Paul's plane back to their shop in Massachusetts to pick up pieces, get the car back on track this morning. Car's immediately quick, but there's damage right now.
Yeah, they're going to have to fix out before Bill can do anything. I mean, they're putting a tire on it, but I'm not understanding that.
Waiting on the left, waiting on the driver.
It looked like it was crabbing to me when he was coming down that back straight. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, Bill will feel it out pretty quickly here. It did look like it was crabbing.
He's got to figure out a way to close his door.
Might have knocked the alignment off. You know. The door's still not wanting to stay closed.
He's looking down at his lap. I don't know if he's looking for the door latch or his seat belt or.
This is a 93 car now. That's his sister car in the pits. Not a good day for BMW.
Turner boys are busy. As they go to work, we'll take another break and return. Clouds gathering over the raceway at Belle Isle as the Chevrolet Grand Am 200 continues. They're your class leaders. We'll be back in just a moment. I'm feeling a little hungry myself as we welcome you back to the raceway at Belle Isle Park, where the Chevrolet Grand Am 200 continues. It's over in the fan zone, which is lined with food trucks, stuff for the families to do. All part of a big weekend for both the Rolex Sports Car Series, the World Challenge Series, and the IZOD IndyCar Series, all racing here this weekend. We are under our second caution of the event as we approach the halfway point at 1 hour straight up. That's the number 9 car of Bert Frizzell. We saw contact earlier with one of the Turner Motorsports BMWs, and it appears that Frizzell cannot get that car back to the pits. We'll show you what happened.
Now, this doesn't look like a big hit at all. We were talking about that, but he hits right on that front corner. You see it broken right there. Broke the upright.
I think there was just miscommunication there. I mean, Mike was so wide at the turning point. I think Frizzell thought he was giving it to him, and suddenly he just went for the apex, and you know, Frizzell had nowhere to go, and the subsequent damage, that's just a disaster for the boys.
What happened while you're going forward is that left front wheel falls over, and you can't turn, you can't steer, and so they're going to have to put it on the flat toe and bring it back flatbed.
We've got an hour and 1 minute on the board, so I think everyone will take this opportunity to top up with fuel and really eliminate anyone who's got an advantage in terms of saving fuel or less fuel to go on board. One thing to look for if everyone does hit pit lane, the 5 car of Christian Fittipaldi, he'll have less fuel to put on board to top up, so there's a chance they could leapfrog around some of these DP runners.
So Westbrook will hit the pits in the 90 car. No, he's getting away from it.
Going to get a lap back.
Yep.
And when he was stuffed in the tire wall over there. Surprised the 6 didn't get a penalty on that one, to be honest with you.
There's the number 2 in white, the Ford Riley of Alex Popoff, doing a great job. He is our Continental Tire halfway leader as we approach the 1 hour mark of this race.
Boy, he's done a good job. I'm just really impressed with the way he's handled the race so far.
Yeah, just really aggressive, but not too aggressive at the start. Went side by side with Fogarty through this little complex here, kept his nose clean and pounced on Jordan Taylor when the opportunity was there. So far so good. And Ryan DL will be chomping at the bit. You wonder what the drivers have been doing in this 6-week break. Well, Ryan DL has been on a fitness campaign. He's got a big month coming up. He's lost about 8 pounds in weight. He said, I feel good. I'm ready to go for the Rolex campaign. And obviously he's running with the Viper team over at Le Mans this year.
I wasn't on that program.
Yeah, you put on 8 pounds.
I died more than that, I'm afraid.
Well, this coming week, that is the Continental Tire National Safety Week. It starts today, runs through the week, and this weekend, brothers Ricky and Jordan Taylor recorded a message for all you drivers out there.
Hi, I'm race car driver Ricky Taylor. And I'm race car driver Jordan Taylor. Today is the beginning of National Tire Safety Week. And before you head out for vacation, there's some things our friends at Continental Tire want you to know. More than half of the vehicles on the road have at least one tire that wouldn't meet our safety standards. No way! So what can you do to keep your loved ones safe, like a little baby bird in there? Park! Pressure. Check it regularly and before every trip. Don't forget the spare. Alignment. Have the alignment checked if you feel a pulling sensation. Rotation. Rotate your tires every 5,000 to 8,000 miles. Underinflated tires not only unsafe, but expensive. Be safe.
Wow. That is scary. Those boys have been having so much fun. If you go to YouTube, they've got a couple of videos out, one from earlier this year and one they released on Wednesday evening this week.
I woke up
having fun.
5:45 in the morning. It's the first thing I saw. And I don't know if that's good. Saw that tire bundle back there had been clouded pretty good, and the tires have broken apart. And there's 3 or 4 tires sitting in the middle over there. So someone has hit that barrier for the first time.
Look at this, Jordan Taylor. He's thinking about this. Now, the 10 team have been so good in the pit lane this year. Now, what he wants to do is be right underneath the rear tail of Alex Popoff when they get to pit lane, so he can get that car as quickly into his pit box and then leave it up to Simon Hodgson, the team manager there, and the rest of the boys to get the job done.
This truly will be a race at the pits because these top guys are going to go. Driver changes will be done.
And typically, you're waiting on fuel, so if you have been saving fuel, the advantage you may get is that you're going to be released a little bit sooner than the rest of the drivers. And look out for the 5 car. They've got less fuel to put on board to top him up.
And here comes to the parade Ford Riley, followed by 1 little, 2 little, 3 little Corvette DPs to Chris Neville.
And our leader, Alex Popoff, giving up pretty much all that 1 or 2 second lead that he had coming to pit lane, but he's done a great job behind the wheel. Ryan DL saying this weekend that it's really the 10 and the 99 who have been the most consistent this weekend or this year, and they need to be consistent to get this championship. Everything looking good on this stop, finishing up Continental Tires on the left-hand side, now the right-hand side, waiting for fuel to go in this car. And guys, keep an eye on that 8 car. Brendan Hartley back on the lead lap. Brian?
The 10 and the 99 in at almost the exact same time. The problem, John Fogarty very close to the wall. In fact, I don't think they can get the right rear tire on. It's taking a long, long time for the Gainesco group. Meanwhile, tires are on the 10 and out just in front of the 5.
Wow, that was close. And there you see the 2 car, so a little bit of a shuffle there.
And the 99 disaster.
Yeah. That's tough. You got to hit your marks. I've been speaking to some of the teams about why you good in the pit lane, why you not. They said it's everyone. It's not just the crew. The drivers have to hit their marks perfectly so we can execute as soon as they come to a standstill.
I'm not sure he got the right rear on there. I don't know. I didn't see it. We'll have to ask the boys.
And we will assume there has been a driver change. Alex Gurney getting in. We'll have to wait and see. Another break coming up. We'll be back to begin the second hour of the Chevrolet Grand Am 200 from the Raceway at Belle Isle in Detroit, Michigan. Welcome back to Belle Isle Park. Auto racing has been a part of downtown Detroit culture since the 1980s when the Formula One World Championship came here, along with Trans Am and some other series. And then the racing gravitated to Belle Isle Park in the 1990s. And here we are in a new decade. GT pit stops. Keep your eyes on the 57. The Stevenson Camaro looking for their third straight win. They qualified fifth. Robin Liddell worked his way forward to a podium position.
John Edwards hopping in. His driving pair going for their third consecutive victory. Can they perform a little magic here and try and beat those Ferraris out, Bob?
Now, for a couple of cars further up, the number 63 Ferrari looked like they were going to be ready to go first, but they didn't get the right side wheels on before they let the car down.
Now they're waiting to get it on. That cost them time. Watch 57 right behind there.
Yeah, it did cost them time because the refueling was done. So it was marginal, but it did cost them those precious couple of seconds. And there you see it cost them track position.
57 comes out in the class lead.
Mike Johnson and crew did a great job on getting that. They're really good at the pit stops.
Now let's hear from Jordan Taylor out of his race car. He's with Brian Till.
Well, the number 10 car was in. Jordan, you guys had an awesome stop, but let's not talk about the stop. Let's talk about the action out on the racetrack. From the pole, things got busy in a hurry out there.
Yeah, well, I was watching it all in my mirror on the start, and Papel got by Fogarty, and I thought Ricky get by him, and then next lap around, huge crash. So it's definitely difficult to pass around here, so guys are making some interesting moves. I haven't seen the replays, but I'm sure there's some pretty good rubbing and racing. But the 10 car is good. I mean, obviously the velocity guys are always good in the pits, so we're back out front, and hopefully Max can keep it there.
See if they can come away with a victory. That would be 2 in a row for Jordan Taylor here, once in GT and once in DP if they can hold on, Chris.
Well, the 5 team, as we talked about, with the short amount of fuel that was needed, they leapfrog up to second here, Dorsey. So great strategy by taking that early yellow has gained them some track position right now. See Ryan DL, Popoff came in the lead. 10 car did an awesome pit stop, but they dropped to third. But DL's going to be really aggressive. The 3 car is looking racy as well. Now Pedro Lamy behind the wheel.
And I know what you're thinking. Angelelli P1, Pizzonia in P7. We'll see how close together they can get. And when they do get together, will sparks fly? We'll find out. Stay with us. As we welcome you back to the Chevrolet Grand Am 200 with Dorsey Schrader, Calvin Fish, Chris Neville, and Brian Till. I'm Bob Varsha. May see the field awaiting another green flag. Let's go down to the pit lane.
Well, the day did not go the way Gustavo Jacquemin wanted it. We know that. We saw the incident at the start. And Gustavo, we can sit and surmise all we want, but from your seat in the 6, what happened there on that first couple of laps?
Well, you know, first of all, I want to say I'm sorry to Memo. You know, my intention was never to take him out. My intention was just to make a pass. You know, it's the second time that I have an incident with Memo, very similar. I go into the inside and he just drives into me. The way I drive, I'm committed. When I go to make a pass, I stick to it. And a lot of times in this series, people just drive into you because you just have really strong bumpers around you. In open wheel, once you commit, no one's going to drive into you because there's no bumpers. So, I mean, I guess I have to be careful because those kind of penalties hurt us in the end, in the long run. So if that's the way they're going to apply the ruling, then I guess I have to make a step back or something. But at the same time, you know, I am an aggressive driver, and when I try and make a pass, I stick to it. So, you know, like I said, I'm sorry to the Ganassi team. My intention was not to hurt their car, but I wanted to move forward. We have a really strong car. We struggled in qualifying, but here we go.
Well, we're back to green, and the education right now for Gustavo Jacquemin, pretty expensive.
And just beginning, one would guess.
Well, the good news for him is he didn't get that second. Look at Dane Cameron down to the inside of Pedro Lamy and takes the position.
But there's a yellow in that corner. There's no passing in that corner. I want to see I didn't see why the reason for the yellow.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a yellow. We just went green.
I
so
know.
there's no cars down there.
There was definitely a guy hanging a yellow flag out there. I don't understand that yet either, but we will know more about that, I'm sure.
Getting back to the Yackerman situation, he didn't get a secondary penalty for the bump on Westbrook, and what it means is Pizzoni is on this lead lap and in the mix.
Those were the leaders, so I don't know why one corner would be yellow. That could have just been a mistake.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Someone
wait and
waving the
see.
flag.
But that Salins car's been quick here. There you see him in the background there. Dane Cameron just wagging the tail under braking. He was third fastest in one of the practice sessions, and now he's closed up on Ryan Dial for third.
All of these drivers fresh in the cockpit. These are their first laps of the race. Now Ryan Dial runs third in the Star Works car. His co-driver is with our pit reporters.
Yeah, Alex Popoff really had control over the first hour of this race. And Alex, I saw you get out of the car. You saw the team be a little bit slow on that pit stop. You threw your gloves down. What happened on that pit stop?
Well, you know, the team did a great job, but I think the other cars beat us on the pit stop. I think they went a little lower on the fuel because they knew if they didn't pass us in the pits, we have the fastest car out there. And this is a track where if you don't have the position, it's hard to get it, you know. So that's a race. Let's see what Ryan can do. I got 2 positions on track, so we have the best car out there. I know the car is amazing, and he's good at it. He's going to be fighting for the lead, and well, still an hour to go, and anything can happen.
Already saw the 5 car throw a big block on your teammate out there. Is he going to be able to get that 2 car back up to the lead?
I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. This is racing, you know, and let's see how it goes.
Well, I think the reason that they got leapfrogged, one, certainly the 5 car had less fuel to put on board, but you also got to think about fuel efficiency. If that Ford was eating the fuel a little bit faster than the Chevy powered car, the number 10, that's going to mean you're putting less fuel on board as well. So that can, it's only talking about half a second or a second. So, you know, if you've got a gallon less to fill the car up, that's going to make that difference.
Well, he's right about one thing. We know Ryan Dial, and he will be very aggressive to get these 2 positions back.
But he's also smart, Dorsey.
Yes,
I mean,
he
he had 21 podium finishes last year in various sports car series around the world, so he knows that he can't be too aggressive. He's just got to keep his nose clean. He's got a fast race car. Let it come to him.
You can aim. You can add another car to this group that we weren't talking about. Of course, Dane Cameron back there is going to be another contender for this deal. This is the end of the first lap on these tires, guys. They're just now coming up to pressure. It's not time to make big moves yet.
Talked about at the beginning of the show, you have to be patient. And Ryan Dial recognizes that fact.
Alex Gurney runs 6th in the Red Dragon, the 99 Corvette Daytona prototype. Brian Till is with his teammate John Fogerty.
Just over 43 minutes to go, and John, you know, they say races can be won and lost on the racetrack or in the pit lane. Would you like to have that pit in one more time?
Yeah, for sure. It's a shame to make that sort of mistake. But as competitive it is in Grand Am, you just can't afford any. So, you know, I was saving fuel, and I think we might have been able to pull a little sooner than those guys and get out ahead of them. But I just slid in here, and it was real tight for the guys. Slowed down the tire change on the Gainesco Auto Insurance 99. But we have a really good long-run car, so we didn't lose too many positions. I think Alex will be pretty pleased as the tires come up, and hopefully he can make some of that ground back up.
So they've got those repairs done. John says Alex got something to work with, and they have been so fast this year, guys. Don't count them out.
Yeah, and he talked about something significant. He talked about we're good on the long run. Remember last year, Dorsey, this car would be dynamite and the tires would just fall off the car in terms of they didn't have a setup where they could maintain that pace. This year they've turned it around, Bob, and we now see them fading a little bit early in the stint, but then coming on strong. They've made some changes, and it's a good one.
Oh, now they're going to get a drive-through penalty on the 99 for a pit lane entry violation, which was probably the 4 wheels over the line situation. But that's going to be catastrophic.
The 70 car is also getting one. Sylvain Tremblay in the GX, well, 3rd in the class right now.
Wow, that's a disaster. And when you're coming in under yellow, I'm sure they were all just jockeying there for position to try and be right on each other's bumpers. And maybe John had to take evasive action and wasn't underneath the white line. It was talked about in the drivers' meeting this morning, Dorsey. There would be a drive-through penalty for either a pit-in or a pit-out violation of that blend line.
And you can understand why on a street circuit like this, because space is very limited and the drivers need to maintain some discipline in terms of getting in and getting out of the pits so as not to impede traffic. There are your class leaders. We'll be back to the raceway at Belle Isle. Welcome back to the raceway at Belle Isle. Less than 40 minutes remaining in the Chevrolet Grand Am 200, round 5 of the Rolex Sports Car Series for 2013. Calvin Fish, Dorsey Schrader, Brian Till, Chris Neville. I'm Bob Varsha. There you see the front-running Daytona prototypes of Max Angelelli, Joao Barbosa, Ryan Dial, and Dane Cameron. Now, a moment ago, Dorsey mentioned that the 99 Gainesco Auto Insurance Red Dragon was being assessed a penalty for a pit lane violation. Calvin described what that can mean, just crossing the white line at pit in. Here's what happened to John Fogerty.
There you see the white line right there. And there you see, Fogerty has definitely got the left sides over, but that is really a harsh call, I feel. I know it was talked about in the drivers' meeting, but it's under yellow. You're not getting any advantage. Everyone just stacked up there, and there's just a jostling for position. So I think at certain times, maybe you need to have a little bit of a gray area, but I'm sure the other teams would probably complain about that also.
And the reason for that ruling is a safety issue, because you don't want slow cars impeding fast cars on the same line on the racetrack. But that was under yellow, so nobody is, all those guys were coming in, so I tend to agree with you.
Right, you don't want people diving into the pit lane from the left side of the track or diving across the track at pit out.
Because you can gain an advantage if you can come in the pits a little bit wider sweep and gain some time there. So I understand the rule, but, you know, I think under yellow, maybe, I don't know, it's a tough one, but it's going to be tough for the 99 car. They're going to lose 30 seconds probably by coming down pit lane.
Alex Gurney now in 9th position as we pick up the battle in GT. John Edwards now in the 57 Stevenson Camaro, chased by the points leader Alessandro Balzan in the 63 Ferrari.
Gurney will be boiling under the helmet too, because I remember getting a penalty like that, which none of that was his fault. He just got in the car, but he's got to serve a double penalty, so he's going to be miffed.
Balzan's seen this picture before, following the Camaro towards the end of these races, but he's got a different driver. I mean, Liddell qualified, and it's Edwards who's finishing here. Certainly on fire this year, doing a great job for the Rahal team in the ALMS series with BMW as well. So really having a stellar season, but he's feeling the heat now from Balzan. Ferrari still looking for their first victory of the season.
And we mentioned the 57 going for their third. Their most recent win at Road Atlanta was the 50th career victory for Mike Johnson as the team manager or team owner. He's standing by with Brian Till.
Well, Mike Johnson was adamant that these last two victories did not come based upon speed, but it was strategy and pit work that got you guys there. And what I just saw was some fantastic pit work to get the 57 out in front. How much of these guys trained for that?
Yeah, you saw it. I mean, those guys are awesome up front. Our fuelers, our tire changers, everything was spot on. And that's how we do it. You know, we've not been the fastest car all season. You know, we're usually about a 5th or 6th place car, but they either do it there or we do it up here on the stand. We've been making good calls recently, and our drivers haven't put a foot wrong. So, I mean, that's really what it takes to win. And, I mean, you can see those Ferraris are right on our butts right now. So, John's got 35 more minutes of holding them back there. And, you know, if you've seen him in GS, you know he can do it.
And nothing would be sweeter than to win here for Chevrolet in the Motor City, Chris.
Well, Brian, last year, Joao Barbosa won this race with Darren Law. This year, he's hoping to do it with Christian Fittipaldi. And Christian, right now, the 9 car, the 5 car, all over the back of the 10. Is Joao just trying to pressure Max Angelelli into a mistake, or is he really going for the lead?
Well, pressuring the guy ahead of you is always good, because that could induce to a small mistake, and then eventually drone can go by. It's very, very hard to pass over here, but still, there's half an hour of racing ahead of us. I think we have a good car underneath, and let's see if we can double it.
And guys, just to update the 9 car, Elton Sawyer was lobbying hard to try and get that car back to pit lane because it's just a bent toe link on that car. However, the series left it out there. He has sent a crew out on the racetrack to try and get that car fixed.
Well, you never know at the end of a long championship season what those couple of points can do for you in terms of the position. But talking to Christian Fittipaldi, he's one of the few guys that have raced here back in the Champ Car days. Finished 2nd in 1996 and 5th in 2001.
I think I called that race in 01, and as we went to our most recent break, you saw Christian chatting with his uncle, Emerson Fittipaldi, 2-time Indianapolis 500 winner and Formula One world champion. We've got another break coming up. There are your class leaders, and we'll be back to the Raceway on Belle Isle here on Speed. General Motors headquarters. Beautiful day. There was a worry about rain, but it appears that we will see none, and that's a good thing. We are under our 3rd full course caution of the race, and here is the reason. That is Pedro Lami's Corvette Daytona prototype heavily into the concrete barrier.
Both ends of it. Look at the rear in particular, back here around the muffler area. That's been injured. Take a look here so you can see what
coming out of 3. Drops wheels on the left side. Drop the left side wheels, Dorsey, in the mud there.
That was just, I've seen it done. I saw there was some marks out there before. Look at the impact there. I mean, that's huge. And it pushed those concrete walls back, which could really delay us further.
Yeah, he wasn't around anyone else, and from the rear view, you could just see him drop the left sides.
I'd seen where guys had dropped the wheels in the grass out there before, and it was getting their line. That's an easy mistake to make.
Wow, look at the consequences. Wow, major damage to the 8-Star Motorsports car, and Brian's with Enzo.
Enzo Padalico here looking on, and Enzo, disappointing end of the day. You guys have been working so hard, not only on the DP program, but everything that this team is doing. How do you take something like this and put it behind you and move on?
Oh, no, I mean, we're really happy with the progress that the team has made. It's the first race for our new engineer. We made a lot of progress, and now we can basically have race pace that we haven't had all year. So I think we're looking forward. We're optimistic for what's coming for the future, and I think we'll be one of the top teams before the end of the season.
You talk about the future. You'll be back in a Daytona prototype soon. When will that be, and who will it be with?
It'll be with Valiente from the 6 hours of Glen on, and now I have to go to Le Mans for my WC program that's going really well. We have our first win there already at Spa.
Now, did you have any conversation with Pedro on the radio after that incident, or did he say what happened, or do you just have the information from the replay?
Yeah, just the replay. You guys do a great job, so we got to see everything.
They got to see it. You know, racing is dangerous in and of itself, but for Enzo, it's actually more dangerous to go home. He was run over by a car in a shopping garage in his home of Venezuela just last week, so he's trying to recover from that.
Yeah, he needs to stay in a race car where he's safe.
Speaking of in the race car, Pedro Lami's still in there, so I'm hoping he's okay. That was a vicious hit on the back corner. Getting a thumbs up on the okay part, that's good. He's staying in there. There's no safe place to be. If you get out of your race car on a street circuit, where are you going to go? You're right in the middle of the racetrack. But the real thing here to look at is the wall. Look at all of this variation of angles up through there, because that is all stuff that might have to be pulled back straight again.
Yeah,
did some trick stuff with the telestrator there.
Yeah, wondering where you were going there. I was scared just watching you, but good job.
That wasn't.
You'll be a TV weatherman before you know it.
I need Al's help on that one.
Less than 29 minutes remaining. The field down neutralized.
I think if there's any concern about fuel, this should certainly get everyone in the window who stopped around that hour mark. So it'll be hard racing, maybe not having to be in fuel save mode for the rest of the distance.
We can look forward to that. Right now, let's get you caught up with a race recap. Very first lap. On board with Gustavo Yacaman. That's Memo Rojas alongside, and pow.
And keep a look there, because not over yet. John Pugh, bang. Another hit, big one.
That was a big hit to the front end and the rear end. Looking at that again, there you see Pro championship leader going for 4 championships in a row along with Michael. Then later in the event, there's Yacaman again. Westy had just made a pit stop, or the car had made a pit stop. Westy took over. He gets turned.
This was just like a moment of indiscretion there. I don't think either driver knew exactly that other was there.
Great pit stop once again by the 10 boys. They get the lead, and the 5 car had less fuel to put on board. They leapfrog around the number 2 car, now driven by Ryan Dial.
Alex Popoff, all that hard work in the first hour or so, and the position is lost.
Up ahead there, on board there with Westy, you could see that Lamy just got the left side marginally in the dirt. Probably enough to lose some grip on turn-in.
And let's have a look at our Continental Tire race summary. There you see the leaders in the respective classes: Daytona Prototype, GT, and GX. This is our 3rd caution. There were 4 last year. 2 lead changes and 4 cars out of the race, nearly all of them in fairly dramatic fashion.
There's a lot of racing to go here too. I think those leads may change once again in both classes. I mean, Angelelli was certainly not stretching it away. Barbosa was all over him, and in GT, Edwards was feeling the heat from those pair of Ferraris.
Well, while we await the green flag, we'll take another break and return to a suddenly sunny day here at the Raceway at Belle Isle. Still just under 27 minutes remaining in the race. We'll be back here on Speed. Still some cleanup to be done. There's the number 3 that Pedro Lamy stuck in the wall. The area's not quite been cleared yet. As soon as it is, we'll be back to racing. We now have just under 24 minutes remaining. And I agree with Calvin. I think with these cars not having to make another stop or save fuel, we're going to see some fierce racing. Before we do, here's Brian Till.
Well, Max Pappas was on pole in GT in a Ferrari owned by Remo Ferri, and not the first time you've done something special in a Ferrari owned by that gentleman. You think back to Daytona several years ago, but let's go to today. What kind of car does Jeff Siegel have out there on the racetrack right now?
I mean, you know, we had, first of all, a great Ferrari, you know, very fast. Our strength is a lot under braking. And thanks to all the Remo Ferrari owner out there, thanks a lot. And we had a pretty competitive car. We started losing the rear end of the car, middle end of the stint. That's when you saw the Camaro coming to me. We did a gurney adjustment. I think that Jeff is going to have in his hand a really fast car. It's going to be a battle towards the end, but I think we got the car to make it happen. And might be the first time that we can get a Ferrari up there in winner's circle.
Yeah, they're trying hard, and the chemistry really coming together with this new driver pairing. Chris?
Get his cars up in the lead here. Peter, you got 2 cars in the top 6. The 2 car back in 3rd, the 8 car back in 6th right now. Brendan Hartley with the fastest lap of this race. Who's the one best contention?
Well, Ryan, I mean, that car, I think it's got potential to go fastest. It's just, you know, track position's key here, and he's getting held up a bit by the front 2 cars, but you know, everybody complains about motor equivalency and all that, and I think they got the horsepower right on the Ford, where we're running with them on the straights now. But what happened during that pit stop is the Ford drinks a little bit more gas because we got to 200 revs, and they're able to leapfrog us because they had a shorter fuel time. So it's damned if you do, damned if you don't there. But you know, hopefully, you know, Alex took the lead when the tires started wearing off the other cars. Our car has been working great all weekend, and hopefully Ryan could bring it on home. And we really want to see Brendan get that car up there. I mean, he has fast lap right now. If we could somehow get a double podium out of this, it'd be a great day.
Yeah, it should be an interesting shootout, guys.
Double podium, ambitious is Peter Barron.
They got the speed.
We'll find out if they can do it. Another break coming up, and then we'll be back to go green flag racing with 20 minutes to go here at the Raceway on Belle Isle. Been pretty dramatic thus far. What drama awaits? We're about to find out, so stay with us here on Speed. On board the number 70 Mazda 6 Skyactiv diesel, being driven by the man whose company built the car, Sylvain Tremblay. They are still working on the wall where Pedro Lamy had a heavy impact. There you see the wall on the left.
Yeah, I thought they would have to do something with that. It's, you know, when it's vulnerable when it's in that position because you can break through pretty easily. They'll pull that back in place. I'm sure that's all they will do to it. The fence held up on the top.
Probably be easy to push it from the other side, but I'm not sure there's access to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Big old heister here will take care of it.
Well, looks like maybe they're moving that. I think that's a television cable, actually, to bring in a little more muscle. Try to
I
push
think they may be worried about the 2 prongs going through and sparing the cable, possibly. I think they're still going to fix it from this side, maybe.
They just left and pulled
I
out.
imagine our director is probably concerned about that, too.
Well.
Well, while the field continues to circulate, let's hear from Brian Till in the pit lane.
Well, Alessandro Balzan running second right now in GT, but just with Jeff Westphal, I think you've got the most difficult job of anyone out here. And it's not because you have to drive one of these Ferraris from Scuderia Corsa. Anybody wants to do that, but you get dropped in the seat alongside a guy who's leading the championship and told, hey, go fast, but protect my championship. How difficult is that?
Yeah, it's one of those palindromes almost where go fast, save fuel, save tires, keep the car alive for the end. So you're like, yes to all of the above, I'll check D. But that being said, you know, I'm honored to be here with these guys. It's a great car, a great team. We're having fun doing it, and tried to put the car in the best shape I could for him and keep it clean and see where we end up for the end.
I mean, the pressure, you have to feel it. I mean, anytime you're a race car driver, you're there to perform, but you got to feel that pressure of having his championships on your shoulders, do you not?
Oh, I absolutely do, but I look at it like it's also my championship as well for the team. So it takes a little bit of the responsibility onto my shoulders, and I guess for me it makes it easier. And here to do well for the team and the car and Ferrari and everybody involved.
And from the time he's been here, he's been impressive. So the 63 team, they couldn't have picked a better driver to drop in. He seems to be fitting in well, guys.
He's done an awesome job, and I'll tell you one thing about Balzan. He has been pretty heady, Dorsey, in terms of not being too aggressive. He's been right on the tail end of a win many times this year and hasn't forced the issue. We obviously saw that car get the penalty at Coda when he and Lally went side by side, but being behind Rob Liddell very closely at Barber and at Road Atlanta, didn't force the issue, got big points that day. Left to see how aggressive he is today in trying to get that first win.
And speaking of points in the GT category among drivers, here's how they stand. Balzan came in with a 1-point lead over the team of John Potter and Andy Lally. As they run right now, Balzan will open that lead to 5 over Robin Liddell, who'd become the new second place man. While Potter and Lally fall down to, well, they're also on 5 points. What am I talking about? Tied for second.
Only 15 minutes in his way, so to speak. It's
So
going to be a
GT
sprint race. This is going to be awesome, guys. I mean, this 15-minute thing, that's where you really tighten your belts up and you take a deep breath and go to work.
More from the pit lane now with Chris Neville.
Well, from engineering to strategy, Katie Crawford calls the shots at Team Salins. And Katie, right now, Dane Cameron looking very strong out there, but does he have a car to get up front?
He says he does. He said the car feels good. A little bit of oversteer, but he's really good on the brakes. He just can't get by. So we'll see what he can do with it. Now we've released him with the fuel. We were running pretty scared there for a little bit, but this has really helped us out.
Well, with a 15-minute shootout, I guess brakes is something I definitely want. Dorse?
Yeah, man. Around this place, I mean, that's what it's about now. Who can brake the latest? Who can square the car off and get to the throttle earliest in the corner? That drag races and gives you top end at the other straightaway, and that's how you pass around here.
Well, here's what's at stake. There was a 7-point gap for Scott Pruitt and Memo Rojas over their nearest rivals in the DP Driver Championship. There would be a big shakeup. As they run right now, the team of Max Angelelli and Jordan Taylor in the 10 car would move to P1 over Rojas and Pruitt, 1 point in arrears, and then the Red Dragon team of Alex Gurney and John Fogerty 3 points behind. So things tightening up, the leaderboard getting jumbled as we get into a critical stretch of 6 races, the Midsummer Championship run of the Rolex Sports Car Series. We'll be back to Detroit. Welcome back to what's turned into a beautiful day here in the Detroit River between Michigan and Ontario, Canada. And we are ready for this 2-hour endurance challenge to become about a 10-minute dash for cash when we go green, hopefully the next time by the flag stand.
We're talking about our keys to the race being patience, track position, throw all that
And
out
weather.
window.
Yeah.
Throw the last 2 out, but patience. I don't think there's going to be much right now.
Now it's down to this. I mean, you got 10 minutes. You're going to have 10 minutes to go around here. You got to go all to the wall. You just throw it to the wind right now. I mean, there's no strategy to be played out.
Once again, this is the beginning of a 6-race run. In 2 weeks, we'll be at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. A couple of weeks after that, the 6 hours at Watkins Glen International, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin at the end of July and beginning of August. And then Kansas Speedway August 17th before another break to wrap up the season at Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca, and Lime Rock Park.
This is interesting for John Edwards. He's going to have a bit of an issue here on this restart because typically you just got Daytona prototypes in front of you. He's got the GX class in front of him, so he's going to be slowed and somewhat stymied behind those cars. So he's really got to either gap them, let them get through 1 and 2 and blow by them on the straightaway, Dorsey, or have some strategy to come into play there.
Yeah, you don't want to get hung up going through turn 1 and 2 behind those guys. It's going to be too much of a deficit. Loss of time.
Park on the left, Detroit River on the right. And yes, if you notice the overhead shots, there are emergency boats out in the river should somebody need to be extracted from their rapidly sinking race car. Juan Pablo Montoya brings Chip Ganassi Racing to victory at the Rolex 24 again. And Alex Gurney brings the Gainesco 99 Red Dragon onto the straightaway and ends a 2-year drought with the inaugural victory at Circuit of the Americas.
Max Angelelli in the number 10 machine. He takes victory.
And the checkered flag awaits for Scott Pruitt and Memo Rojas, winners at Road Atlanta. It's been a great Rolex sports car season thus far. We hope you'll be with us here on Speed every step of the way to the season finale in the fall. Right now we're ready to go green with just under 9 minutes remaining in Detroit.
And Angelelli was ready to go. He got a good jump there. Dial's all over the back of Barbosa. Cameron there now in 4th, followed by the 6 car of Personia.
Now it's a good run down here through off of turn 2. They'll be trying to position themselves for the brake zone. Remember, it's still kind of cold tires.
Look at this, ducking and diving.
Cameron
Down to the inside. He takes 3rd spot. Good aggressive move.
From DL, that's not easy.
Oh, he's nearly in the wall, up on the curb.
That's a podium position for the Nonamaker family in the Salins cars.
And a wake-up call.
Here we are at GT. Edwards over Balzan, Siegel, Lally, and Curran.
Oh, another one out there on the outside edge here.
That's Eric Curran and Andy Lally going wheel to wheel.
look at this. This is Pat Long and Lazzaro going side by side. Pat Long had a brilliant run at Road Atlanta, snuck up on us. We didn't see it. Finished in the runner-up position there, getting around Balzan in the closing laps. He's looking for more today.
Kerr and Lally don't look comfortable around each other. They look like they want to use each other up.
That's allowing this front three to get away. Looks like Pat Long has got a run on Lazzaro. Here he comes.
Going around that bright green machine is the leader in the GX class.
Who moved over and slowed down and let it happen.
See Long to the inside there for turn 7, just out of frame right now. Gets the position.
So Long moves up to 6th in class. This is turn 11 along the Strand.
All about launch back here. You really can't get wheel spin. You got to hook up totally, get to the throttle early in the corner, and run this as a sector.
That Long has gapped Lazzaro a little bit in the FXDD Ferrari. AIM Autosport got their first GT pole here this weekend with Max Pappas. And DP, look at this. Oh, 6 car gets turned. Don't know if Hartley got into the back of him or not. Pizzonia is around.
He was in 5th place.
He gets himself back going. Loss of a lot of time, however. Not going to be happy.
That was a pretty creative correction.
Second place battle.
For second, Cameron.
He is pushing, and that's allowed DL to get a run coming off at turn 6. He has now taken 3rd position away from Dane Cameron. Great battle. This is allowing Angelelli a little bit of breathing room.
Don't go to the outside, Dane. That's not good. I crashed just like this. Yeah, he had to get out of it there.
Yeah, but DL gave him some room. That's the key. You've got to give these guys some room on these street circuits.
He let that happen. You're right. That's exactly the difference from the beginning of the race, Rick, that we talked about.
Good, hard racing here for that podium position.
Coming up on 6 minutes to go. And these 4 are on their own.
Bosa needs to shake DL and Cameron so he can focus on Angelelli, the leader right now. Just under 6 minutes to go, Bob, as you said. This is going to be a tough 6 minutes for Angelelli to hang on for their 2nd victory of the year.
Sitting here thinking in my mind right now, you know, what kind of launch do I want to do? Where do I want to try this at? Running out of time.
Edwards. He's got one of the Salen's DP cars in front of him. He needs him to get on with the program.
That's Joe Nonamaker, the family patriarch, up ahead.
Should stretch it here on these GT cars down the straightaway, which he does. But Edwards doesn't need any kind of momentum breaker through this fast section here. Balzan still not showing high aggression, but now he's in the slipstream. Edwards looks to the inside of that straightaway, just defending.
Yeah, Edwards did the right thing there. He came off there and he was not going to give that up. I mean, he got held up by the Salen's car, and he knows behind him if he just leaves the door open, he's going to get past.
Keeping it clean. Good traction there coming off that corner. DL now putting the pressure on Barbosa for 2nd.
So all you can do, you got to just keep being a nuisance. Try to make the guy in front of you make a mistake. Capitalize on it. You got to be there. They're going to be right underneath the wing.
Less than 5 minutes to go now.
They are wringing the neck of these Daytona prototype machines right now. You can see them bouncing over this rough circuit.
I mean, it's uncomfortable to be so close that you can't see past the car in front of you, but you really have to do that. You have to play instinct here.
Angelelli's got to use all of his experience right now to try and hang on. But remember the 2 wins that Barbosa got last year, the 6 hours at the Glen. And he also won here on the streets of Detroit. It was decisive moves that got him those victories.
Boy, Max gets onto that straightaway really good, though. I just noticed that last 2 corners on the corner, he really gets off that corner and opens up a gap. And if he can keep doing that, that's how he can win here. Look at that gap he's got.
Here comes DL. DL has got to run on Barbosa there as we switch back to the GT action.
He looked down the inside, did DL, but did not try the move. And they are drawing away from Dane Cameron. Back to the GT battle. And the sister car to Cameron's, Joe Nonamaker, up ahead of John Edwards, Alessandro Balzan, Jeff Siegel, and now Andy Lally in that white Porsche.
Edwards doing a good job of controlling his race. He's not letting himself get trapped by the DP car in front of him. He's timing everything up. He's backing these guys up behind him so he doesn't get himself in a box.
Yeah, he's really using a lot of maturity here and trying to maintain this lead position. What it is allowing the things to shake up here is that the 4th and 5th place runners are now closing in on this lead battle. He's slowing the 2 Ferraris down, is allowing Lally and Curran to come back.
But he can't do anything about it because he can't pass his DP car, yet he catches him in the corner. So he's timing his segment so he doesn't get himself past on long straightaways.
Back to the DP battle, which is now down basically to 3. Angelelli, Barbosa, Dial.
I think Barbosa's going to be aggressive. I mean, he's not a dirty driver by any stretch, but he is decisive. He doesn't have a win this year. He's not right there in the thick of the points battle right now. He wants wins.
Whatever he does,
maximum points.
Whatever he does, Dial's going with him. You know that. I mean, once he breaks that pattern, he goes to one side or the other. Dial's going to go there and try to split the difference.
And how decisive was that pit stop where the 2-car went from the lead back to 3rd? Mainly because of the amount of fuel that was going on board, but it has been decisive at this point in the race.
Now remember, this is a 2-hour timed race. There's not a set number of laps they're trying to get to. The checkered, the white flag, and the checkered flag could come out basically at any time. The teams will keep the drivers informed, but there is a certain insecurity about when those flags are coming.
And Edwards holding everybody at bay. I really like what I see out of him right now. He's mirror driving, but he's doing it in a very, very professional manner.
He's controlling it beautifully as his teammate looks on with angst. Ron Liddell there. Can they get their 3rd consecutive win at this championship lead and really tighten up the points chase?
Less than 2 minutes to go now. Back to the DP battle. And again, Dial looking to the left and right of Barbosa in the 5-car.
Wow, Dial is Angelelli's friend right now. He's putting the heat on Barbosa that stops Barbosa from just focusing on the leader.
Those guys so close. I mean, I can't emphasize enough. You have got to be so close because the error will be a small one. These guys are professional. They're not going to make a big mistake. They're going to make a little mistake, and you got to pounce.
And Cameron getting close once again. There's Wayne Taylor.
Remember, the leader this year is a little bit more protected. If there's any contact, you're going to get a penalty, and that is definitely in the drivers' heads. The stewards have made that line. You have contact and bump your way through, chances are as a stop and hold for 60, which is about a lap around here at Detroit.
White flag out.
White flag is out. Final lap. Here's the GT battle. And again, Edwards holding off Balzan, Siegel, Lally. And look at Eric Curran in the red and white Corvette.
Well, these guys will have 1.5 laps, so it's the DPs that just got the final lap to go. So these guys will complete this lap, and then turn 11 right there and do one more. So Edwards has still got to hang on for over a lap.
And there are 6 cars in that line now.
Look at Pat Long there. He has some speed, man.
Edwards is doing what he needs to. He's slowing up the entries of these corners so he can get that launch. He needs to use that horsepower and draw away. But he's got everybody behind him that is quicker than he is, too. I can guarantee these guys are going to be really aggressive.
Camaro, Ferrari, Porsche, Corvette, Porsche.
This is fantastic racing. Look at this. Angelelli has gapped Barbosa.
Oh, and Cameron's right there on Dial's gearbox with just a few corners remaining.
Got to do a late one now. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Dial had the right move there.
It's tough to do it here, though.
GT. Still 6 cars in a line.
Edwards has really managed those tires well as well. He's getting good traction. He's getting good power down off of those tight corners. That's the key, Dorsey.
Balzan took a look. Final corner for the Daytona prototypes. Angelelli, Barbosa, Dial, Cameron, and Max Angelelli will make up for the disappointment of Road Atlanta with a victory here at Belle Isle.
Good drive.
And Wayne Taylor is loving it. Here's the GT finish.
Still a ways to go for these guys. This is off the back straightaway.
Look at that. Edwards just positions the car in the middle of the road. Balzan is not being super aggressive here. He's probably thinking, I've got the championship lead. I'll be content with another podium.
Just concentrate on the launch and drive down the middle. It makes it impossible. This is the best opportunity right in here for something to happen.
3 corners to go.
That's not going to work.
This is the last real braking zone right here. Look at Pat Long looking to the inside of Curran. He has to defend.
Oh, jumps the curve, does Pat Long.
Yeah, he's wringing its neck.
Final straightaway, and John Edwards will bring it home for Stevenson Motorsports. 3rd straight victory for the Camaro. Robin Liddell, his co-driver, is digging it, as is his team manager, Michael Johnson. 51st win for Johnson, 41st for the team.
Should be a double win here for the 00. GX leader.
Different teammate this weekend, though, for Joel Miller. Tristan Nunez is back.
Needs to just bring it on home now.
Andrew Carbonell shared the victory with him at Road Atlanta.
The Sky Active Diesel, you heard it right there.
Tristan Nunez is a junior in high school, skipping his prom this weekend to go racing. And together with Joel Miller, they will give Mazda its second victory and second consecutive for the Skyactiv Diesel Mazda 6. There's Max Angelelli on his way around to greet his happy team. We'll take a break and return to hear from our winners here at the Raceway on Belle Isle. Stay with us. We're back in Detroit. Here's a look at the top 10 in Daytona prototype. In today's Chevrolet Grand Am 200, victory for Jordan Taylor and Max Angelelli over Christian Fittipaldi and João Barbosa in an action-packed race, Calvin.
Absolutely. The GM boys on top again. They did it last year. They do it this year. Barbosa following up with the win with a great runner-up finish with Christian.
Time for our Royal Purple Outperformer of the race, and it is a group effort. We're going to give it to the entire Velocity Worldwide crew, the 10 car from Wayne Taylor Racing, under team manager Simon Hodgson. They got their car out in the lead, and Max Angelelli handled the field from there. Let's get down to the pit lane and Brian Till.
Max Angelelli getting ready to climb out of the number 10 Corvette. And Max, impressive run. Big hugs with teammate Jordan Taylor. And at the end, two wins so far on the season. Problems for the 99 and the 01. That's going to help you guys in the championship. But let's talk through that last restart, those last few laps of the race. How much pressure were you feeling?
Enormous pressure, because we know the championship situation. We knew about the 01. Obviously, could have been a great day, as turned it to be. And I have my heart rate that was 184. So, and I'm 45. So you make your calculation. I was over my limit.
Yeah, well, Calvin's not in quite as good a shape as you are, but you need to work with him, Max. Jordan, for you, 2 wins in a row in Detroit. They both come with a bow tie. How special is that for an American kid to win with Chevrolet twice in Motown?
Yeah, it doesn't get any better than that. We had a big talk before the weekend with the Chevy guys, and they told us we need to win this weekend, so we definitely felt the pressure, but I don't think we had the ultimate pace this weekend, but the Velocity guys did it in the pits again. I think that track position is what will win us the race today.
Well, congratulations on win number 2 in 2013.
Well, that goes to what Dorsey Schrader was saying at the top of the show about the pressure of racing here in the Motor City. Here's a look at the GT results. Robin Liddell's 21st career victory, the 7th for John Edwards, and the 16th for the Stevenson Motorsports team. A great run for that top 6, all so close at the finish.
Yeah, 3rd in a row for Liddell and Edwards. That really puts them right in this championship. Jason, for GM, they sweep again. Dorsey taking both classes. That is huge.
Yep, 2 years in a row now that they've got to be stopped.
Back down to victory lane now, and Brian Till with our GT winners.
Well, John Edwards out of the 57, and it was action-packed up front in DP, but GT battle was awesome to the line. When you saw that Daytona prototype in front of you, it was kind of holding you up a little bit, and you had the field closing down on you from behind. What was going through your mind? How did you play that strategy to stay in front to the end?
Well, on the first restart, when I first got in the car, I set it up to accelerate off the last corner, but I couldn't see the DPs from where I was behind, because of the walls. So I accelerated, was ready to go, and I got around and realized the DPs were still there. So on the second restart, I left even more of a gap, but I guess due to some contact and stuff, that DP fell back to us. So at that moment, I probably used some language I shouldn't have on the radio, but luckily it all worked out, and the Ferraris were coming at the end. So during that long yellow in the middle, I'm sure Alessandro was a little upset that he wasn't getting a chance to put pressure on me, but I was perfectly happy to just sit there and let the clock wind down. But the fight to the end was a pretty hard one, and I was definitely defending pretty hard.
Yeah, it seemed like you played your cards just right at the end. You had Joe Nonamaker in front of you, and you were closing down on him, and it looked like you were able to balk the guys a little bit in the corners and then do what you needed to do to stay out in front. How much pressure did you feel? Do you think you were going to be able to pull it off? And to win for Chevrolet here in Detroit's got to be big for a young guy like you.
Well, we knew from qualifying that the Ferraris were strong, but in qualifying, Robin went out and immediately was a second quicker, P1 in the early laps. And then throughout the rest of the qualifying, dropped down the orders. Our car went off, their cars came in. That was exactly the same as how my stint went in the race. I went out, set fast lap of the race, like my second lap in the car, and then slowly started dropping back as Alessandro reset fast lap and caught right back up to me. So we knew they were going to be strong at the end, knew it was going to be a defensive position, but luckily pulled it off for 3 in a row.
It was a great run, 3 in a row, as he said. And for Chevrolet, they take the top step of the podium in both GT and Daytona prototypes 2 years in a row.
Well, here's a look at the GT driver standings with 5 races now in the books. Alessandro Balzan remains the leader by 5. 4 drivers within 5 points of the championship lead.
It is really, really tight, and Balzani keeps clicking those podiums, Dorsey. I think sooner or later he's going to need to show a bit more aggression and get those wins, because it may be needed to clinch the championship.
These points are provisional. Here are the Daytona prototype standings. Angelelli and Taylor up top.
Nice tight group right here as well. Now, the one thing I'm going to say is when we leave here, we go to different types of racetracks. Now, we go to some really fast, long racetracks and some long distance races as well.
And you got to know that the leaders coming in, Rojas and Pruitt with Ganassi Racing, can only wonder what might have been had they survived that first lap accident. Back down to Brian Till in victory lane with our GX winners.
Tristan Nunez and Joel Miller. And Tristan, for you, how difficult was the decision to miss your prom or come race in Detroit?
Oh my God. You know, yeah, really difficult. I just had to say that. But amazing stint by Joel and the Mazda 6 Kayak Diesel. Thank you, Visit Florida, for giving this opportunity to us for the full year. It wouldn't be possible without them.
And a great run, and good to see Mazda back in the winner's circle. Congratulations, Joel. We'll head to Chris.
Well, Brian, back over in pit lane with some of our podium finishers. We can see Alex Popoff, Ryan Dial, Joao Barbosa, and Christian Fittipaldi talking a little post-race action here. And Joao, last year you won this race. We were waiting for that big move for the lead there, but it never happened.
I know I'm still really happy for all the Action Express guys, and the Corvette drove awesome today, and Christian did an awesome job initially. But I mean, was so many yellows at the end that we couldn't really go racing like we wanted, and I wanted to hit a little bit of traffic. I was a little bit faster, but I could never get the move to go by Angelelli. He did a great job, but you know, just my hats to the team. They did an awesome job. We've been struggling during this year, and I think we finally got the monkey off our back, and we're ready to go now.
Christian, lots of changes in this team. Little driver swap here one race ago. Are things starting to work?
Yeah, it's definitely starting to work. Unfortunately, it didn't work so well last race, but it wasn't our fault. Well, it was a pit incident that we had, but as Jean just mentioned, everyone's really happy in the team. We got the monkey off our back, and now we have a bunch of races ahead of us, and let's see what we can do until the end of the season.
Well, let's see if we can catch up with our GT second place here and current points leader, Alessandro Balzan. I see him walking down pit lane, so we're going to try and catch up with him. Alessandro. Hey, man, we're not done with you yet, bud. That was a great battle there with the GT. You trying to catch on to that Camaro, but you just couldn't get him, could you?
Yeah, it was a very funny race. The guys in front are very polite, and I'm really enjoying the Grand Dam style, but now I really want them to win because they was a little bit lucky because they was stressing the tires and the yellow flag comes out just in that moment. But I really want to enjoy and to thank Scuderia Corsa because the car today was very nice, very fun. 5 minutes more, maybe I can give you more fun to watch on television.
Well, hey, you still have the points lead, so good job with that.
Thank you very much. Bye.
And with that, I think we need to get Alex Zanardi's gold medal from Max Pappas and give it to Chris Neville for that pit lane sprint.
Yeah, that's a good
that
one.
was World Championship stuff. Well, it's been a great day here at the Raceway on Belle Isle. We hope you've enjoyed it. And as you've heard, we've got a great string of races coming up, and you'll see them all here on Speed beginning in a couple of weeks at Mid-Ohio.
Well, I'll tell you what, I feel bad for the Ganassi guys. They got taken out of this one, but as far as the points go for the rest of the year, we're sitting solid. This is going to be a good race.
Yeah, certainly spice things up, Trav. Those three teams, the big three as we call them, within 2 points of one another at this point in the championship season. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch the remainder of this championship run.
One final note on Tristan Nunez missing his prom. I asked him this weekend, did you have to break somebody's heart to do it? He said, yeah, I did. Well, young lady, if you're looking in, I hope you know it was worth it to see your guy win here in Detroit. There are the details on our next race from the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. We will see you then. And until then, for Calvin Fish, Dorsey Schrader, Chris Neville, and Brian Till, I'm Bob Varsha. We'll see you at Mid-O. So long for now from Belle Isle in Detroit, Michigan.